Grand Rising, Michelle, aka Mosha. Thank you so much for joining me in the early rising on this very special rising, this day of July 13th, 2022. So this is episode, I believe, 424 and of Where the Heavenly Bodies Are. And I am so happy to introduce you to one of the first waves of Skystrologers who has been sharing her energy and her focus to the Skystrology method and mindset since July last year. And we're coming up to 1 year, which seems fitting for everything to be. So welcome.
Thank you so much. Such a joy and honor to be joining you on this iconic podcast.
Thank you. So before we begin, we just wanted to give a little, just a few words of energetics to this moment. It's something that we do in the mindset experience for Skystrology. And we do it because we are creating a space where the intuition and the essence of ourselves, our invisible and visible and physical selves, are being present to receive a place where it's more about remembrance than, say, education. It's more like a prompt for this capsule. And today's prompt is to honor the movement of the light that we see on the moon. Now, currently, there was some discussion that that's not the sunlight. We don't really know what anything is, which is a big part of the philosophy that we insert in, or more like the mindset that we have for Skystrology. We are observers, so we do know there is light. We do know that the moon doesn't have its own light. And the first thing we know is that the sun gives us light. The sun gives us energy. And so we look to the sun first in any event. And in this case, when we look to the sun, we are part of the entanglement of the sun and the moon. And we know that is true because there are earth changes. And also people feel that within themselves. And so in Skystrology, we call it the full earth because we are honoring our actual waters, our feelings that are moved by the entanglement, by whatever is happening between the sun and the moon, whatever light that is. At the end of the day, it's all energy. And the light moving towards this 180-degree opposition of the sun and the moon, which is poignant, the mathematical entanglement is coming, is that the part of the Milky Way was activated as we made this journey, as we are currently in this journey. We acknowledge at the time of making this appointment that the moon would be measured at around 20 degrees of Sagittarius, which is aligned with the star Vega, and which has a very poignant position in Michelle's sky sky, if you don't know, is the natal chart. And so here I would like to honor this galactic journey that also was part of the galactic journey of you, Michelle, as you were in this womb space, as you were this growing, magical water being in the womb of your mother. And at the time that the Vega star was rising on the horizon of your birthplace, you were transiting into this earth plane. And this is a very poignant transit, the first transit, as we leave the exercise of getting our oxygen, our life force from water, from our waters and our mother, to actually breathing the air that is available on this earth plane and taking that first breath and slowly honoring the slow movements of the placenta and the umbilical cord as it no longer is needed. And then you began truly immersed in this earth plane. And it's just so powerful that Source, God, aligned this meeting with us at that very moment that the measuring moon is at this point. So, you know, I'm so grateful for this alignment and so happy for you to share with us your story so far.
Thank you so much, Claudette. It's one of the most impactful things about Skystrology is the honoring of the energies and the space we hold to actually feel the energies rather than subscribing them or saying that it's one thing. Like feeling and experiencing the energies of each Skystrological happening.
So tell us a little bit about your journey with astrology, I suppose. The first thing I like to ask people is, when you were first interested in astrology, did you have a practice of looking up to the sky as well?
No.
No.
In short,
okay.
No. Growing up, I did spend quite a bit of time on a boat in the ocean at night. And I would always be like, feel in the pit of my stomach, like, whoa. You know, when everything is so dark that the horizon blends into the sky, you don't know what's water, what's sky. And then seeing all the bright stars above me, I would always feel a yearning of knowing. I would always want to know where I was by looking up. And then the vastness would just take over and I'd be like, whoa. But yes, throughout my connection with astrology, it was very light, anecdotal, like knowing, oh, Libra's this, oh, Taurus is this. Yes, and throughout my journey, I was coming out of a 14-year depression and anxiety experience. And I started looking to astrology as a way to anchor into my spiritual knowing, right? So I started learning Western Tropical Astrology, started writing down what each constellation meant in Western, what each house meant in Western, And it was very like school, like writing down a definition next to a word and then connecting it in that way, like puzzle pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And something about it just didn't resonate in my soul. Like it felt like there was something missing. It was very scientific, very plain. Like I felt that there was energy missing. So
What
then I
year
looked,
was this, may I ask?
2019.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started looking to, I believe it was evolutionary astrology next,
Mm-hmm.
which felt better because now we were looking at the soul's journey. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And I started writing down the rays, what everything meant. And I studied that for quite a bit before again, I was feeling like there was something missing. There was something off, like that I wasn't the whole full truth. Yes. And then in 2020, I came across Jilly's page, the Water Priestess, and I saw her sharing, Claudette, your information, your teachings, your knowings. And immediately, I knew that it was truth. Like
Wow.
the underlying feeling of yes,
Mm-hmm.
of wholeness. Yeah. And then that was it.
Cheers to,
Cheers.
gratitude to Jilly and the community of Wake Water, and the fact that water brought us together. Water also is a big part of understanding the true energies. And I always have to give great thanks to Jilly for sharing Skystrology so unconditionally as she has always done, because without her sharing it, cheers, we have to take a sip. Cheers. Without her sharing it, we wouldn't have met. So much would not have happened. I would think definitely a good 80% of the people who have come across Skystrology have come across it through Jilly. Yeah. And yeah, it's really more and more so apparent to me how important it is that people share information. And that's what the sky does. The sky is sharing information all the time, right? But it's every day, 24/7, 365. Yeah. So does evolutionary astrology look at the sky?
It wasn't a point that was made specifically clear. It wasn't a connection that I drew from my browsing on countless resources online. It wasn't something that was focused on.
Interesting. So I remember you got the calendar, I believe, but we hadn't really made contact. You just like went online. Did we have a discovery call? No.
I booked with you way later, but I was following and I was practicing. I was using the Skyview app and seeing where everything was, and using my past astrology knowledge and applying it to the actual physical sky above.
I also remember, so you had the calendar, which means you got the regular podcasts. And I remember the day, I should have wrote it down, but we might have it in our messages. I remember the day I was talking about Skystrology. And one of the things I like to mention, and what I also had to realize, is that the people who've been following since the first almanac that came out at the end of 2020, and who've been listening to the podcast, because the podcasts have also been sharing the philosophy behind Skystrology and opening people up to other expressions of these energies. And I mentioned something, sometimes, I speak in code and I use very simple language, not only because I didn't finish college, but also because I turned 21 in Germany and I grew up in Germany. You could say a lot of things I know, I speak about. At that age, I learned in German. That's kind of my first language. I was there as a tourist with a German boyfriend and husband and stuff. Anyway, not to go off on a tangent, but what was so poignant on this day is that I was kind of talking in code a little bit, and Mosha made a comment and a post, I think, that revealed to me that somebody was really listening to what I was saying, and it was connecting the dots. It was so clear, and I was like, who is that? Who is that who's listening to me and really learning something? It was just amazing. I was so touched. And then I messaged you, and then we realized that you had, bought the calendar twice and you had different names, and I was confused to who you were. And then we immediately had to have a discovery call and sort it out, and then a consultation. And I was putting together, it was like a year it was like almost a year ago. And I was like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm putting together the first experience, the first certification I don't like to call it program, but experience course, whatever you want to see it, remembrance. And she's like, yes, I want to do it. And I just was like coming home, and in the meantime, we can see powerful mathematical alignments between ourselves. At the same time, I just like to say that Michelle has done my sky just on Sunday. And, I'm used to making other people emotional when I share their sky. And I just was not ready for you to be able to touch me so deeply in one of your certification consultations. And yeah, thank you so much. And I'm just, to have someone who is a seeker, right? So we understand that we have this program of learner, teacher, student, but we don't see it that way in the Skystrology method and mindset. And at the beginning, I would say, hold my hands up, I wasn't 1,000% sure what I was doing, but I knew that Source had given me my whole life experience to be able to anchor this in and share it in, right? And so the story times and all that were created for the people who were placed and divinely there at the time this was happening. And you are definitely one of them. So how has your year been? So you looked at evolutionary astrology, you looked at, normal astrology, and of course you had the magical experience on a boat. How old were you then?
It was recurring. It was throughout my childhood and adolescence.
Okay. So when you would go on a boat, you would have these experiences, right? When was the first time?
I want to say 7.
Oh yeah, see, that's powerful. Yeah, it's very powerful, because that is the real essence of Skystrology, looking at the sky and connecting to the energies that are there. And I also find to have this childlike essence, right? This innocence, this unconditional love, not wanting anything from it, just to be bewildered about the sky and receiving without expectation those energies as your first encounter with above. Yeah. So, that is part of your journey too. That's amazing.
I've been loving the transition from feeling somewhat scared of looking up and seeing the vastness to now looking up and feeling home and safe. Like knowing that the stars above are like my friends and family, that they've been here seeing it all, supporting through all.
And they have,
Mm-hmm.
definitely, as we see in our sky and on this date and at this time. Divinely timed. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, now that you are one of the few students that have had previous investigations about different kinds of approaches to the study of the stars, which is what astrology means. And it would be maybe easier if we could just say astrology. If we could just say astrology, because a star means star and ology means understanding of. Well, yeah, we kind of dissected that word a little bit. So we understand it's more than just the study of, but the experience of the stars. But what's interesting is we see that, first of all, with the Western, labeling it Western and tropical, that has changed in its application, in its language, when it was, supposedly assigned by Ptolemy to tidy it up, if you will, and make everything 30 degrees, right? But the ancient astrology, the ancient astronomy is totally different, because there are no borders in the sky. There are bright stars. And of course, the constellations are different sizes, right? So I'm just curious, what would you say to someone who has, say, invested, given a lot of energy to Western and tropical astrology, and now know that there are apps? Because I was saying that to the other day to one of the other students, 10 or 20 years ago, we didn't have the apps. We just took for granted that, the astrology was true, and that there was a separation, that astronomers didn't believe in astrology, but they were kind of talking about the same thing, but we could not check for ourselves. So if you were really interested in astrology, you looked at a book, or you looked just at a book before. This is 20 years for me, or no, it would have to be 30 years, because I've had my first consultation at 1982-ish. So in the 80s, we did not have the internet. And just to like early mid 90s, I think it came in, but you didn't have it on your phone, and for sure not. You still had just a normal, if you had a mobile phone, I can't remember. But the fact is that what I wanted to say to this is that there's a difference in the time periods, because at that time, where people were interested in astrology or interested in the stars, they did not have the technology that one has now to be able to investigate themselves what's happening in the sky. And that is really important. So all the Western astrologers that are interested in astrology and have found Western astrology, I mean, you can't escape, in a way, Western astrology. Would you agree? What would you say to them, just from your perspective, about the experience between Western and Skystrology?
Yeah, I, for one, didn't realize that what was said that was happening in the sky based on Western astrology, I didn't realize that it was different than what was actually happening in the sky. Like I assumed, oh, there's math. Like that's what's happening. That's where the planets are. That's where the stars are. Now, realizing that it's based on other calculations rather than like the natural sky, I invite people to relax into knowing that their feelings about astrology, everything that they've come to learn and feel, that it's true for them, that it's true, and to be open to widening their experience with astrology and with the sky, to just to apply their wisdom to the natural happenings of the sky and to feel how it feels, like comparing and contrasting, the placements in Western and the placements in Skystrology, and just feeling it, like without holding on too tight to any singular belief or without any expectation. Just see how it feels.
Mm-hmm.
The natural, the placements in Skystrology.
That's interesting, because with your journey, you had the Western, and then you went to evolutionary. Now, I don't know a lot about evolutionary. Do they have the same size constellations?
That was something that always got me when I was studying astrology, was the different calculations for the houses, the different calculations for everything. It always confused me. I was like, how can all of these different ways be true? Like, how can all of these different systems coexist? Like, I didn't. It was always something that befuddled me.
Okay. Did you encounter true sidereal astrology?
Yes.
When did you
that
find that? After evolutionary, or where did that come in?
No, I did Western, then sidereal, then evolutionary.
So sidereal, so some people are confused. Sometimes I am as well. You know, some people say sidereal is connected to Vedic, right? And then there's true sidereal. You familiar with true sidereal? Right. So that, did you follow that as well at some point?
I feel during my exploration, after I came to the conclusion that Western wasn't like true, as I continued my my studies, I was detached from identifying. I was just learning the information and like seeing how it felt. But yeah, I don't remember exactly, because then I was learning, and then if it didn't feel true, I didn't like
pursue it. Yeah.
Log it into my brain. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a lot of following intuition for me in my journey.
Yeah. 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 The knowing.
The knowing.
The knowing. The knowing. The knowing. For sure. Yeah. That's really interesting, because what would you recommend as far as like someone who just is young now, like ourselves at that time, looking up to the stars, being enchanted by them? How would you suggest they, if they were finding it somewhat challenging to understand Western, or understanding the difference between the true sky and Western astrology?
Claudette, what is the acronym that is the website where you can see where the sun is in the different months in Skystrology?
The acronym.
It's a website, and it's an acronym. And you see the PDF that shows the months and where the sun is. You can download it for free.
Oh, I just used the Skyview. The Skyview app.
Oh, I'll post it on my page at Who is Mosha. It's a document that shows where the sun is.
Oh, our sky, the one that you go to, the one that the PDF that no, I don't know.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
PDF on the website. Okay. Yeah. So you mean
Okay.
that as starting. So I
Yes.
usually recommend people use the Skyview app. At what point did you start using apps?
As soon as I found out about Skystrology and I saw you recommend the Skyview, I was like, okay, yes.
So you
And I
didn't
got
use a
it.
Skyview app before, any kind of app?
I feel like I had it, but I didn't understand it.
Isn't that funny? Did you use iLuna? Do you have iLuna?
I don't think so.
So they have apps, astrology had apps before, because I've had iLuna for ages, telling you where the Western positions are, kind of, but seemingly very scientific, or feeling like, oh, this is what's happening for sure, right? Astronomically thinking that. I remember reaching out to them about 4 or 5 years ago, and I think they didn't even get what I was talking about. The indoctrination, the programming runs so deep.
Programming, like not knowing, not being aware of what you don't know.
Right.
Like the broadening of the horizons, being unavailable for some by choice.
So what has this year, as far as when you think personally where you were with your journey from the stargazing and then exploring different kinds of astrology, and now actually being a soul that can be a reconnector, can share the information, and as you know, the method is that we have is also a little bit educational in the conversation. It's more of a conversation. And who was it? I think, was it you? Oh no, it wasn't. But I was like, just call me grandma, cosmic grandma, because I'm getting along in my memory. But someone said, it's in one, Jade, she is in the mindset experience currently, and I did a podcast with her, which will be coming out alongside with yours actually. And she said, which was interesting, and I just wanted to ask you how you feel about it, that a lot of people look to Western astrology to know what the future holds. What do you think about that?
I'm going to speak based off Skystrology. When we look at Skystrology Sky, and it gives us a map of energies and a deeper understanding of ourselves, we can see where our tendencies lies, where we can work with the energies to move forward in a way that's healthy and aligned for us. So in that way, you can help direct your future. But when it comes to Western and predicting the future, the word that comes to mind is silly, but there's been so many different instances where it's been proven and people really adhere to these predictions. So
that's
I
funny.
feel like the power of imagination and the power of art, we create it ourselves.
Co-creating, exactly. That's really funny. Yeah. And we don't even know. When I think back, when she said that, I thought, I used to go to my astrologer every year when I came back from Europe, and like, what's happening now, and what's that boyfriend, and when am I going to do this, and when am I going to do that, right? That's true, that it's a lot of time based on that. And I then understood that that's why a lot of, say religion or, kind of thing, they were talking about sorcery and this kind of thing, like knowing the future. You're not supposed to know the future. So that it was interfering. And, you know, just to speak upon that, because we find the language in Western astrology still has a lot of that essence of, you're going to feel like this is going to happen to you.
100%. And people practice it in that way commonly. I love practicing bringing our power back to ourselves and not giving other people permission to dictate our lives based on their interpretations. You know? Deciding for ourselves what we want, what we choose.
Yeah. So what do you look forward to as far as the community of Skystrologists? So it's been really incredible for you to look at other skies and have conversations with fellow souls in this community.
It feels so good. It feels so home. It's like speaking a universal language of energy, of elements, of timeless energies. And I love communicating it with people and having people. I love speaking about it to people who practice Western and seeing the wheels turning and seeing things unlock and seeing their eyes get brighter in certain moments when they make connections. Like it's the best to bring truth back to people, for them to feel for themselves and have their own experiences. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing other people's journeys expand through connection with truth.
Yeah. That is really, and you know, that's really interesting that you say the connection with truth, because there's such an element of truth in your being for me, you know, like I said, the seeker, and, you know, one where you're curious and then you make the effort and put in the energy to learn one thing and to observe it, and then, you know, be curious about more, and then look another place and give your energy and learn. And like you were saying, writing it down, like going through the alchemical, you could call yourself a true alchemist, because it is important to understand that we are all of the elements. Like we are water, like Jilly says, and the big kind of drop even this year came when you know, so many drops came when we were having our discussions, which were, you know, priceless during the mindset, which is really involved, that the elements that people think are Chinese, which are 5, is a misinterpretation, a mistranslation, if you will, that actually they mean phases of water instead of 5 elements. So they see the 5 phases, which kind of comes back to what Jilly talks about in the different phases of water as well. And it's so, you know, powerful for us to both be connected to the wake water co and to the water as well, because it's back to origin.
Foundation.
Yeah. The foundations on here on earth and our waters above. The connection. Everything. Yes. The
hydrogen
whole,
being the base of everything, all of matter.
Right. Yeah. To tell us a little, I just always find it really important just to share a little bit of your scientific knowledge with us.
Yes. So I went to school and I graduated with a bachelor's degree in biology. I studied the health sciences, and I also studied ecology, evolutionary ecology, spent some time studying botany as well. And I love life. I love the way life presents itself
You mean as
is
well? So
amazing.
this is so
Yeah.
a big part of Skystrology as well, is it not? Yeah. That, you did not know at that time you started to study that it would have a lot of implication in you
Yeah.
being able to understand Skystrology in the way that you do, and be an asset to the community as well from your perspective. Like if I say, oh, that's hydrogen and stuff like that, I say, oh yeah, I read it somewhere, but I didn't study it. And so I love that you bring that knowledge to our community. I thank you. I am so grateful that you are part of this community of Skystrologists and our think tank. And one thing about Skystrology, it is a growing, because we've discovered so many programs and so many untruths.
Yeah. I feel like every time we come across a program or an untruth, it feels like we had a weighted blanket on and we got to take it off. Like a weighted blanket we didn't realize we had on.
I know,
We have to take it off and feel so light. And so, now I can jump to the top of a building if I felt like.
Yeah, I
love
know.
that
And it's
feeling.
the key that we didn't know that weight was there, right? Yeah, until we wake up from the program, and then we can shed it. And then we experience how much lighter it feels. I love that analogy. Oh, well, thank you, for taking time out of your very busy day to have a little chat with me. I really appreciate it. First of many, many, many. And was there anything else you would like to share to those listening today on this
Yes.
powerful moment where the stars are aligned?
Yeah. Follow your curiosity. Please. Follow your curiosity. Your body, your spirit is leading you to something that you already know. Please be open to remembering, to uncovering, to finding out, to have fun, to play, to embrace curiosity.
Thank you. Yes, that's very hydrating and very much the core of what we can offer through the experiences of ourselves, finding and experiencing where curiosity takes us. Right? For sure. Great advice. Thank you, Michelle, aka Mosha. Please follow on social media. Which account would you like for people if they wanted to know more about you and more about what you like to share about Skystrology?
You can find me at Who is Mosha. So who is Mosha.
Is it Marcia? I've been saying Mosha. Marcia.
Either or, however it comes out, however it expresses, is I. Send me a DM if you're curious.
Yes. I mean, I just feel called, to because the students the souls who are studying, who are now going through the last phase of doing consultations with people that they don't know. Would you be open to doing discovery calls with astrologers?
Yes, I would love that.
Yeah, because I think they would appreciate your exploration and what you've learned and what you discovered. Now, can you remind me the name? You said you did take a course just briefly before we go.
McCord.
Right. And how long was that course?
Few weeks.
Okay.
Maybe a month. Yeah.
Was it so it was like a month? Just what was it called? Like it was just the basics about?
It was in 2019.
Oh, okay.
It was an in-depth course. It was a nice quality course.
That's great. See, yeah, so the 2019, so like I say, Mosha is not just, curious. She just spends her energy, took a course as well, and then explored other things. And of course, here with Skystrology as well. And, so much for the development with the think tank that we have in the community to discover and to be curious about so many more things. So I honor your curiosity. I honor that you took steps to expand your awareness, and that these steps led to us getting to know each other, and for our connection as soul family, for sure.
I love you. And I want to say that my experience with Skystrology and through this course that you curated has been one of my favorite devotions. Like every step of the way, like discovering and learning and seeing myself through the teachings that you've put together has been amazing. And I welcome anybody curious to reach out to you and to experience it for themselves, because it's amazing. It's been beautiful, such an asset to my life, and something that we get to take and experience moving forward. So yummy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you. We get so emotional as well. So thank you guys for listening. Stay tuned. We're going to be interviewing some more Skystrologists, some more beautiful souls of our community who are so excited to share with you Skystrology. So thanks for listening to this podcast, and please subscribe for more. Have a beautiful moment and a beautiful sun, earth, moon moment. Know that you, as an earthling in this incarnation, are a co-creator and are in receivership of the powerful energies of our sun and the entanglement of the heavenly bodies above. Cheerio.
Thank you.